Welcome back to Factorio Hyperbase, the building of the Hyperbase, our series about building a very massive vanilla science base. So we are back at the oil, our oil design, and what we are going to do is put in place the heavy cracking. And I've just calculated out heavy cracking to require 6 heavy to light cracking machines. It is actually 5.09 apparently, but we will use 6. I kind of think I should probably have them up here and then move this way for the light ones, because light's going to feed up there, but I guess it's not going to matter that much. Do I start this whole process again though? Because there's no direct feeding, and I can make it slightly more compact if and they're going to have to be spaced a bit differently as well. Actually, what do I need? These just need ore, right? Light oil, yeah, but the cracking has 2 material requirements, which we could have a row up here that feeds into it, but it's more likely we'll just feed it directly through the row. And if we're going to do that, I kind of need something like that, where it spills over to the sides, so the beacons, of which we have none, have to surround it like so. And actually I actually really do want those beacons, so I might have to run back to base and get some beacons for this. Now this whole thing with the oil that I was talking about last time, I think I was getting confused with how much the offshore pump will only deliver. 1200 per second, but the pipe can take more as long as you keep the number of segments down. So what we're going to have to do for any length of travel is just have a lot of the pump. I think I have some here maybe. These guys, the pumps, no, I don't have pumps, so we're going to need to get pumps as well. So let's run back to the main base, make pumps, because I don't think I have them being built anywhere. Oh, I've got pumps here, so I don't actually need to do that. What I might do then is just put some of this stuff away. We'll come back to it. And fill up on beacons. Hopefully we have some by now, because I've been using them all up. We can check, but this base certainly is struggling to provide at the rate that we require. We have almost no beacons. Well, I just need a handful of beacons to at least see what the pattern's going to be, so we'll grab what they've got. What about modules? We probably have almost no modules as well. 29, 27. You can see the problem. The red is not making it through, so we need to expand our red. I may even temporarily delay once we get back here, delay picking up the beacons, just to expand red a notch or 2, the red circuits, because you can see that we've got this line that we can expand out, but this line is still doing okay at this level, so we could add, a couple more and see how we're going, and if it starts getting thin like this, we can inject from this line at that point. So let's change tack slightly as a consequence of... Oh, I don't want all this stuff, guys. No, 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 no. Oh, no, no, no. Right. Let's grab some level 2 assemblers. Oh, whoops, what have I done? I need that. You go back to your 300. Level 2 assemblers and some red belt. Actually, I will ask for the red belt, because I think there's a bunch of red belt here. Let's grab that stuff first. And then it's probably just as easy for me to grab it as it is to get the bots to deliver it. Let's do that so I've got somewhere to put excess. Let's grab a few more of those just to be sure. And come over to this old red circuit design. Oops, it would help if we're running on a track that's actually heading in our direction. Now, do I have that one? Yes, I do. I think it goes like so. So if we go 1, 2, let's go 3, 4. 3, 4. Oh, this is all yellow belt. After getting all that red belt, this is all yellow belt. Okay. I'll have to put the red belt away then. We're nowhere near a line of red in a compressed format, so yeah. Yellow belt then. These, some of those. Right, let's do that. These ones will take me out in a fairly speedy manner. Oh, and power poles. I don't have any medium power poles on me. That's a problem. You can see this is starting to get a little bit, this line is starting to get a little bit weak. Let's go back, grab some medium power poles. And we're going to have to extend these lines as well and have another injection point. Here we go. Where does it actually get weak? Could probably go one more. Right, and how did we do it back here? Just in front of that. Alright. And on the other side, same deal. There we go. Now, power. Oh, we're out of blue inserters as well. Okay, we'll get to them. Looks like the copper is starting to get very sparse. I think I allowed for a second row of copper to come down. At this point, I'm basically combining that second row of copper. Right. Let's grab the blue inserters that we need. Oh, and this is steel. So steel probably needs an upgrade. At this point it's getting very light as it comes up to what? Well, red circuits is a bit light. They're all gone again. And we need red inserters as well. Alright. One more quick dash. This is maybe looking a little bit better. It's up here. Okay. Certainly notice the difference of these faster inserters in comparison to what we had at the beginning of the game. And some more power. So it does look like we do have copper all the way. This part's actually pointless, isn't it? But you never know, we might want to extend it further. So I guess it's probably about as long as we can make it without changing everything into red belt. It is looking a little bit better. Green circuits are definitely looking better. I don't know why iron is looking, steel is looking so weak. Is it struggling to get enough resource? Not from there. What about up here? Wow. There's only 80% of a yellow belt at the moment, and just making all these things is draining it fairly significantly. What is using it up here so much? Oh yeah, it gets used in those guys, the roboports. It's mainly just the roboports, really. And this iron is kind of terrible. Which means we probably need to upgrade all that iron as well to have this work more efficiently. But it's deflecting us from our purpose, so let's have a look at where we're at now. About 40. Oh. And let's get rid of these excess belts. That's already full, right. Actually, I need belts. I keep forgetting that. We are going to need some belts. We may as well grab the what few poultry. Actually, I'll leave them building up. See, in spite of our increase to red circuits, the flow of red circuits through here is very, very pathetic. Let's have a look what production is telling us. 1.1 thousand a minute red circuits, 5.7k per minute green circuits. Yeah, it's not megabase production. It's certainly not gigabase production, and it most definitely is not hyperbase production. Never mind. All right, let's go with what we've got to Big Oil 1 and try and at least finish the outline of our build. Looks like there's a few more circuits in there that I need to replace. If you're interested, the solar is now getting into becoming quite a large field. And yes, it's laid down another one, so that's what it's working on. The bots certainly work more efficiently when they're only doing one at a time. 64k, so that would be in the order of 4 gigawatts capability. So we have a bit of a buffer now for the massive power expansion that we're doing. And I might even use some of that to expand this baby oil that we're just coming by. Expand it via beacons, basically, is what I mean, because I did notice that the sulfuric acid was starting to, it was getting a very low supply of petroleum, so beaconing it up may well be worthwhile. Now, I'm actually going to remove the robots. I don't want them building stuff that is not what I specifically want right now. So yeah, this is the kind of thing that we are faced with probably, so I probably need to move it over. we could probably continue this line. I don't see a problem with that. But this line is going to be a problem, so one. I've only got one. I put them all down again. Absent-minded. Right. Back to where we were. Now I really should get some concrete for this area as well, especially since pollution is not a thing. Okay, I basically want this one and this one to have an impact, and I think if I go there, that one just does, this one does not, this one does not. Right. So, if you have the ability to be fed, actually let's put your formula on cracking. Yes, I probably want water like that. I might even feed the water directly. I don't have any landfill on me, do I? I don't need that much water. But this does work for me. So we need enough room. Well, actually, we only need one at the top. This is interesting. Effect source is 12. Because you don't currently have any in you at the moment. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, so it might have to be slightly odd looking. To get the maximum impact. Wait a sec. You're over 2. You only need to be over 1. Like that. That makes more sense. So we now end up like that. It might need to be 3 of these before it gets back to a repeatable pattern. Maybe it will never be a repeatable pattern. Oh, 10. That's not good. Oh, because you're directly... Yeah, that is something that has to be avoided at all costs. Alright. You're going to have to go there. And these beacons will then end up being there. Maybe it's just the first one that's causing a problem. So we've got 2 gaps here now. Okay, 3. See if I can just blueprint that. but I can keep doing that. Maybe because of the offshoot I need to keep doing that and not worry about this extra 1 space of efficiency. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which actually comes to the end, which is kind of what I expected. Bots, see what you do. It's reasonably well behaved of you. Now, that's producing a bunch of extra light. So, we need to factor that into the light conversion. I'll just pause the recording for a moment. And to continue from where we left off, I was just basically getting a coffee, because, you know, coffee, and my notepad to help me do some calculations. Let's see what we've got. Oh yeah, and some reminders about how the silly fluid mechanics work. It's probably all going to change in 17, which is going to ruin all my careful planning, but maybe we'll get this done before 17. That's kind of my hope. Not that I want 17 to be delayed, but it just means I need to get on with this quickly, doesn't it? So, 5.1 basically is what we've got here. We have 6 of them, but it's basically 5.1. Converting to light, you basically get 40, but you get 40 becomes 30, but it's times 1.3 because of productivity. So if we were to do a calculation like 5.1 machines times 39 divided by the 3 seconds it takes times 60 to make it into a minute times 8.1875. I've already done the 1.3 because I used 39. It gives us an extra 32,500 light, basically. And how much are we consuming? We have 4 of these to every 5 of these, which means we have 80 of these, but they're not quite running at peak capacity. Let me just see what they are running at. It's kind of, they're consuming 5 out of the 5.2 that gets produced. Is that right? Yes, each one is producing 1.3. So we're getting 5 of 5.2. So 80 times 5 divided by 5.2. So effectively we only really have 77 or 76.9 if you want to be exact. My calculator can do the being exact. So the consumption from these is 10 every 3 seconds. So let's multiply by 10, divide by 3, multiply by 60, and multiply by the speed of 8.1875. And so we're using 125,961.5 units of light if this thing is running at full speed. So I'm going to... that's how much we're using. Now, how much do these things produce? Basically, they produce 45 by 25. So 45 times 25, it takes 5 seconds. Divide it by 5, multiply by 8.55 and 1.3 for the productivity. And by 60. So we're getting 150,000 of it per minute. Let's subtract the 125 we use. Let's add the 32,000 from the heavy cracking, and we have an extra 56,000 light to 56,660 to turn into petroleum. I hope we end up with enough petroleum from this. 5660. I mean, we could always up the petroleum conversion, but we'll round up slightly anyway, and maybe introduce a control at some point. 56,660. So, a cracking machine for light to petroleum uses 30 light every 3 seconds. So let's divide this by 20 to get it to a 3-second rate, and then divide by 30 for the amount that gets used, and then divide by 8.1875, and we need 12 machines. So that's basically 2 rows of this, but it will be light cracking, which is kind of what I was hoping we would end up with, something like that. It may not be enough, but it's what we will start with. What's that? Okay, you can go away. One, two. May not seem like a lot. Damn it. Oh dear. All I wanted to do was grab my bots again. Right. Bots, lay this lot out. Before we get confused, let's convert these all to the petroleum mixture or recipe. There we go. Are we completely... Yes, we are completely out of beacons. See my problem here? So the only other thing that we need is sulfuric acid, which I am probably going to build here and pipe it round to, I guess, another lane here. Where is it? There it is. And as kind of expected, I have run out of rail. So that can be for sulfuric acid. Now, how much sulfuric acid do we actually need? That's another very good question. This is why I wanted to do this whole thing in little bits, because the calculations kind of, they start adding up. Let's put it that way. They start adding up. So for rocket control units only, we need, for the blue circuits, we need 14.5 or 14.6 sulfuric acid. What about the satellites? The satellites, we need an absolute ton of sulfuric acid in comparison to the blue circuits. Alright, let me add these numbers up. Look, I'm looking at Duma. I'm not going to switch between the two because last time I mucked that up. So 2857 plus 61. I'll round that up. 539. And 14,577. Is that the lot? That looks like it. So we need 78,000 or 79,000 basically a minute for the sulfuric acid. 79,000. Okay. Sulfuric acid. How fast do we build it? We get 50 every second. So if we need 79,000 or 78,973 actually, divided by, so it's 50 every second, so divide by 50, divide by 60, and then divide by 8.1875 and divide by 1.3. So it's basically, we only need 3 highly sped up sulfuric acid machines, assuming they were fully supplied, which they probably won't be because two sulfur machines is 4. Actually, they will be by 2 sulfur machines. So we want a direct insert capability. For the sulfur. We could just continue this on. If I had some beacons, which I don't, so I used them all up once again. But the idea is I can copy this pattern actually. So if it's 4, let's just go B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 12. That should be sufficient. How far does this extend? Is it an issue in any way? No, it's not. This is the end of what we had before. You are actually going to be sulfur. You are sulfuric acid. You are sulfur. Oh yeah, we've got to get iron in here somehow as well. Why are you not changing? My mouse is playing up. To get a new mouse sometime. Okay, sulfur, sulfur, your sulfuric acid. You are sulfur. You are sulfuric acid. You are sulfur. A reboot tends to sort out this, but yeah, the mouse isn't doing what it's supposed to exactly. Oh. That is a problem. We're going to have to jump a row. I'm certainly looking forward to that copy function they teased us with, rather than creating endless blueprints. So yeah, we're going to have to go to there for the final. There's no particular reason other than beacon efficiency to not. And we're going to have to get some iron into this build, because these guys need iron. The sulfur not so much. I don't like the idea of exporting tons of sulfur, so we won't be doing that. Sulfur under 2 per second. I believe a stack inserter can cope with that. So we'll be doing something like this with an intervening wooden box. So yeah, that's basically the entirety of the build, at least semi-fleshed out. We just haven't done the bottom part here. This one should fit in like so. So that's 2. Wait a sec. Have I moved this? Do I actually need to? I may have to move the whole thing. Damn it. That looks like we've only got 3, doesn't it? Let me get down here a little bit. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's only 3. Okay, well you guys are not actually going to go here. You didn't get particularly attached to here, did you? Let's make this the cracking. Oh, there isn't a cracking symbol. Cracking. Go there. We're going to have to remove the slot and place another one of these here. And that's why I didn't want to use bots in the end, because this is going to be far too long for our train, which only goes to there. All of this bit would be a very long bot journey, even if it is fairly low volume. It's still, I mean, they'll produce one and it will send a bot and it will come all the way back. We don't want that. So that's why we're using belt in that collection. Now, the cracking. That's not the cracking. Which one? There we go, cracking. The cracking can go there. And we have a heap of stuff that we need to provide to complete this build, not least of which is oil, but I kind of want all these other bits to be in place. Oil, we'll be using pumps to get it all done. How are we doing for time? We're probably getting close to that point. Let me have a look at what has been built, if anything useful. We are now up to 155 and 123 modules. That's not a lot. This is definitely a little bit thicker. Still not really great though. Yeah, this side is struggling with the green. We may need to upgrade these well, I think we do. Clearly, we need to upgrade those exterior green belts to red. See if we can push it down a bit further. We're not getting much action down here at all. Two whole segments not getting much action. And how are we doing with beacons? That's a reasonable number of beacons, because the other little mini project, as I mentioned on the way in, was basically improving this. These guys are constantly running 100%, all 25 of them. But the volume of petroleum that we've got, you can see it's minute. And if you look at the sulfuric acid here, this one's not happening at all. The volumes in these containers are quite low. I don't know how far off we are from needing to sulfuric acid. Well, it's not here, so it's obviously just topped these up, but they tend to drop reasonably quickly. So for that reason, and certainly if we accelerate plastic, these amounts are fairly low. How's the plastic doing over here? It's not full and it's loading fairly slowly. So if we're going to accelerate the belts by making them red belts, we need to do something about this meager throughput. It's okay, well this one's okay, but these are very compromised in terms of the number of machines that are actually able to output much. How's this going? The N ones aren't actually doing anything. Lube is probably not doing much, so the small amount of heavy that's getting through is not doing that much. So basically what I want to do is beacon up these guys and then proceed down the line, kind of as, I mean it's not as effective as the beacons we have here, but it would at least help a little bit. So I guess we will try and do that just to help out our production end. Building all the stuff we need to actually build the Hyperbase. How's our UPS running at the moment? 4.5, 4.6. Sometimes slightly less. There are quite a few fairly inefficient mechanics operating here with you know, our blue assembly machines and so on. We need to be a little bit conscious of how much just turning the rockets on is costing us. think this base is using a bit over 3 microseconds in the update, 3.6, something like that. So we can get some idea of what all the extra bits are potentially costing us. So what do we want? We want beacons. And we want modules. Now, I could have just ordered up the beacons, but the modules are actually not in the range of the network, so we need to get rid of something. Alright, let's get rid of some pipe. Yeah, we don't need extra pipes. Let's get rid of some pipes. I don't have to run all the way back, actually, to get rid of those pipes. Just so that we can carry all of the modules. There we go. And I don't actually care whether they get those or not. In fact, in many ways I quite like them not to. So let us head to normal oil for our final act for this episode of just a little bit of enhancement to the old oil for the starter base. And I'll probably go ahead and upgrade all of the smelting and belts in the starter base to red, and the iron, the steel smelters, not the electric furnaces, but at least steel smelters. Be nice to be running on rocket fuel or even nuclear fuel at this point. We will create a nuclear industry for nuclear fuel, but it's kind of low priority at this point. Right, let's go to the refineries. Start at the beginning. They're back here. Okay, first things first, let's start giving you prod modules. Now, beacons. And we need to power the beacons. Do I have some of these beautiful little stations? I do. Now that means that we can probably actually remove all of the medium poles that are in there. So we're using the much more effective substations. And we need speed modules, of course. Right. We should be getting an improved output from here. At this point, let's see if that's translated into a noticeable difference. That's quite a lot more. There's a bit more there. How's this going? Are they all? Yes, they're all operating now. So I don't actually probably need to go a hell of a lot further than that at this point. That may well be enough to satisfy at this end. So I will actually just leave that because we can use the resources elsewhere. We need them. We need modules down here, big time, and I can use the beacons in the oil build. So plenty of places for them. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. We are getting fairly close to actually having an oil build. I think we need to. There's another coal, isn't there? What's that? It's not very big. I don't think I've actually seen a really large coal anywhere. No, I need to get some radars on this, and I need to keep my eyes out for coal, but otherwise we'll be turning this one into a coal train, an 820 coal train, to pick it up and exploit. How's this coal going? Oh, we've actually used a little bit, but it seems fine. We've actually massively reduced the demand here because most of the time these are all shut off in a fairly simple way. Just basically the belt shuts off. I could have shut off all the inserters, but this is a lot cheaper. So it's slower to react, but a lot cheaper. And basically it's now set to 70% before it shuts down. But anyway, I keep trying to stop and I don't. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for joining me for this. Bye bye for now.